The trailers for this one really made it look like an optimistic and cheerful yin to the yang of the Christopher Nolan's gritty and grounded Dark Knight trilogy. Pity that the movie turned out to be a film more accurately titled The Adventures of Arsehole Superman. Everything that's wrong with the DCEU is laid out down here, because it gets the character of Superman wrong. Which is a pity because the angle it takes at approaching the Superman origin story is an excellent one. That is, as a story of first contact. By this, it creates a more cosmic DCEU that can contrast nicely with the more grounded and Earth-based Marvel movies. So follow along with me as we fix this bitch. In the spirit of the subreddit, I'm trying to leave as much in place as possible. This is my third try to make it shorter. It kept blowing up into a big blathery detailed outline with lots of dialogue. Cut the Krypton opening scene, it adds nothing. Open with the oil rig rescue, but make it even more spectacular. Invert the order of the original film and have Lois start tracking Clark before the alien ship encounter. The oil rig is what starts her off, and she keeps searching further north, tracking other stories of this bearded guardian angel until pulled off the story by Perry White, who assigns her to cover the story of the alien ship Discovery. The Kryptonian ship sequence plays out more or less the same as in the movie, with Clark Kent tracking Lois and one of the other military people, a crusty and jaded pilot named Shaw. The two humans nearly get killed by the ship's automated drones until Clark swoops in and shuts them down. He tells them he's a friend, but the humanity is not ready for the technology in this ship. He gently plonks them down outside the ship and takes off. Use Clark's talk with the hologram Jor-El to take the place of the opening sequence. HGE does the Sir Basil exposition bit about Krypton and its destruction, and let's make it due to the star exploding instead of the we've hollowed out our planet's core, oops, now it's collapsing horseshit from the movie. Show more of the impact of Lois Lane's story on humanity. This is big news. Proof of an alien civilization. Show more of humanity's paranoia at the thought that anyone could be this mysterious alien, instead of just in a throwaway line from Perry White. Also, make Lois Lane competent. Have her use what few hints Clark dropped to track him down. She's in the middle of schmoozing Martha Kent when Clark walks in with a big shit-eating grin. Lois asks for an exclusive and promises to keep names out of it. Now, get a shorter flashback of Clark's difficulties in growing up and fitting in. The original ship that Clark arrived in is still in Kent's barn, but it was heavily damaged and didn't have any information as to where it came from. I'd also include the Pa Kent vs. Tornado scene. But this time, Clark saves him by moving so fast that he can get him to safety before anyone can see what happened. But then several years later, Pa dies of a heart attack anyway. That's what made Clark realize his limitations and why he decided to walk the earth and find his true purpose. And thanks to his talk with the hologram Jor-El, he now knows what that purpose is. A few months pass while Clark fully becomes Superman. Running around and doing cool Superman saving people stuff. He becomes an inspirational and beloved figure all over the world, even though there are some who still believes he's a threat. Lois Lane's exclusive with the alien makes her even more famous, and also a focus of huge pressure to give up his true identity. General Zod's ship shows up as in the original film, and demands that humanity hand over Superman. Because this version of Clark isn't an idiot, he heads north to the ancient Kryptonian ship and asks hologram Jor-El about the general. Yes, I stole this from how it should have ended. Hologram Jor-El tells him that Zod is a fanatical racial purist and a genocidal maniac, but we eventually find out his ultimate goal is to take control of the Earth. He wants to use it as his personal little kingdom, so he can breed more Kryptonians and rule the galaxy. As part of that plan, he needs to get a hold of Kal-El's DNA and also remove him as a possible threat to his power. HGE estimates there's only 5 or 10 Kryptonians alive by this point, and Zod needs genetic diversity if the Kryptonian race is going to properly flip the choice in the movie. Instead of Superman having to choose if he'll give himself up, Humanity has to choose if we're going to roll over and betray someone who's done so much for us. The humans tell Zod to go pound sand in a real fuck yeah moment in the movie. This will also make it obvious why, in later movies, Superman does so much to protect humanity. Zod just shrugs and kidnaps Lois Lane, since she knows who Superman really is. It'll also put pressure on Superman to show himself, and, of course, he does so by assaulting Zod's ship. There's an exciting rescue sequence followed by a big punch-up between Superman and a couple of Zod's people in a rural area. This takes the place of the Smallville fight in the movie, so that we don't have to see a small Midwestern town get completely detonated. The military tries to help Superman, but as in the movie, it becomes rapidly clear that human firepower is completely outclassed. Superman is totally acclimated to the Earth's environment and the resulting sensory overload, and so he's able to overcome the pair of Kryptonians. They flee back to the ship while he hatches a plan with Shaw and the rest of the military. He'll use the scout pod he arrived in to destroy Zod's vessel. As they're getting the plan ready, Zod lands in Metropolis and threatens to flatten the city unless Superman comes along quietly. Superman is torn. He needs to get the scout pod up to Zod's ship, but he's also the only one who can face Zod. The humans tell him to get his blue and red ass to the Metropolis while they take care of Zod's ship. The scout pod's reactor gets loaded into a rocket, but there's been no time to set up an automated targeting system. Someone's gonna have to fly the pod in manually in a kamikaze maneuver. Shaw volunteers for the mission. The initial punch-up between Zod and Superman knocks down a few buildings, which were already evacuated. Superman realizes just how devastating a full-fledged brawl would be. He knocks Zod's helmet off and takes advantage of the General's disorientation to tackle him and fly him up to space. Instead of coming right back down, this time Superman smashes Zod into the moon. A truly epic fight starts on the lunar surface. Those on Earth can actually see the flashes and destruction as the two demigods go at it, hammer and tongs. Meanwhile, Shaw successfully dodges the first attempts by the other Kryptonians to take her down and smacks her rocket into Zod's ship. The resulting wormhole takes out the ship as well as the Kryptonians. Now it's down to Superman and Zod. Superman sees the wormhole from the moon and realizes that a human just died. While he's in a state of shock, Zod tackles him and begins just wailing on him. An enraged Zod taunts Superman about how that one human death was just the beginning. If Zod can't use Earth as a home for the reborn Kryptonian race, then he will kill every human on it with his bare hands and turn it into a tomb. Big mistake, duh. Superman gets pissed and now we realize he was just holding back and trying not to injure Zod too badly. Zod has only been in the presence of a yellow sun for a week or so. Superman's been absorbing its radiation his whole life. But even though he's getting his ass beat, Zod just will not give up. He spits up bloody teeth at Superman's feet and says that Kal-El will have to kill him. Go ahead, kill the last of your kind. Make your treachery complete. Superman draws back his fist, and as we see it drive forward, the screen goes black. Cut to Zod in a stasis tube on board the ancient Kryptonian ship, which Kal has repurposed into his Fortress of Solitude. Hologram Jor-El says that it's a mistake to keep Zod alive. If the General breaks free, he'll cause more devastation. Superman responds that it might be foolish, but he has to try to cure Zod's madness. Being more powerful doesn't mean I get to take the easy way out. It means I have a duty to do better. The final scene shows Metropolis rebuilding from the destruction caused by Zod. Lois Lane tells Perry White that she's got a new reporter that he should talk to. A young kid named Clark Kent. Hey, if you like that video, why don't you check out our podcast at youtube.com/filmfixing or check us out on iTunes. We also have a Patreon that you can go and donate money to. You don't have to donate much. Every dollar counts towards making our content better. Alright, see you in the next video.